Very interesting game for your Friday evening here with the Panthers and the Dogs. Panthers got a bunch of guys out. The Dogs have dropped Dufty. Unsure of who's going to be replacing him at this point, but he has been dropped. So if you see that in here, then he's not playing. But the outside backs here, it's going to be interesting to see if they can all dominate without their two halves and their link man in Isaiah Yeo. It's going to be a fair few things to think about. So in terms of these guys, you've got Taylor May, who's obviously the most expensive one, Edwards and Tungo. And if you think any of them can come out and do really well, then I would personally probably go for Edwards or Tungo. I think Edwards probably has the biggest chance to just come out and do his normal thing, whereas the Taylor May and also Tungo need that little bit of help from their halves and also their middleman. So I'd probably go for Dylan Edwards at the 14,990. Has that low score of 33 in the last 4 weeks, but other than that, the mid-40s I think is going to be pretty solid, and then has that potential to go a little bit better than that. With Dufty getting dropped, Addo-Carr might potentially drop back to 1. Corey Allen might get a chance. He's in reserve, so obviously we'll wait till that comes out there. But Addo-Carr, I think, missing out on Origin, has that potential to come out and score a bunch of tries. And if this game is a little bit more centered towards the Dogs winning, then I think Addo-Carr can do well. But if you don't want to go near him, then I think Karaz is still a good option, guys. He had that low one last week, but I think he can definitely bounce back from that 18 and have a much better game up against the Panthers. And if you want to go a little bit lighter, I would probably be going with Robert Jennings, who hasn't played this year. But at $9,000, he's had great games in the past, and I think he should be able to go fairly well in the centres this week. So that's your outside backs there, and obviously we'll just wait until final teams or when we get some more information around Matt Dufty and who's going to be taking that fullback position. But I think that's going to be pretty important if you can get that fullback, for example, in this game. In the halves and the hookers, we have really the top 5 is who I'd be looking at picking. We have some expensive guys and we have some cheap guys. So we start with Burton. I think he's going to be pretty close to a must-have. He's been absolutely dominant the last bunch of weeks. Anything over 50 for him has been great, with that potential to get up to a 95, which he got a few weeks ago, and 81 2 weeks ago. Sean O'Sullivan, he's been priced according to how he played those first 3 games, and I think that he can get somewhere in that high 40s at a minimum there. And it's just if you want to spend that little bit extra on Burton, for example, or go to someone like Jeremy Marshall-King, who's had 3 scores over 50 in the last 3. So Sullivan, Marshall-King, I'd probably go with O'Sullivan in this one. I think he can have a good game. He's going to have to do a lot more with all the other guys out, for example. O'Sullivan was doing this next to Jerome Luai, who obviously demands a bit more of the ball, whereas Kurt Falls is a debutant and surprisingly is actually priced pretty high for someone who hasn't played a game yet. So we'll speak about that in a second. But Abby Coruscant, 17,880. I think this could be his game. So I'm potentially going to select Abby Coruscant in this one, just at the cheaper price. And if you can spend a bit cheaper elsewhere in the outside backs and the forwards, which we'll speak about, then you might be able to go for a Coruscant and a Burton, or Coro and Sullivan, or however you want to play this one in the halves hooker and then the flex. But I think Coro's going to have a great game. They're just dominant, coming in to dominate for the 5 guys that they've got out. He usually does step up pretty well, so that's that. Curdy Falls, so 11,840, has a good record in the New South Wales Cup, which is ideal, getting a try assist a game on average there, and he's sitting next to O'Sullivan, who's going to dominate the ball a fair bit. But if they give him an opportunity to do his thing, he might be able to score fairly well as well. Obviously getting the tackles as well as running the ball and getting some attacking stats. So Curdy Falls, potential to do well, but 11,800 is a little bit annoying if I'm being honest. We go to the forwards, and I think guys like Fisher Harris and Paul Vaughan are going to be very interesting. I'm probably going to leave off Josh Jackson just because he's playing on the edge and he doesn't score as well there. When he plays through the middle is when he gets those scores over 50. So that's my worry for him at the moment. Fisher Harris has had some really consistent scores lately, and at 20,000, you're looking for a score over 50 at minimum. And that will be solid for the value that you're going to get out of him. And Paulie Vaughan has been doing pretty well also. So 17,740. He's been having 2 really good games recently, but we're looking for something over 45, 46 for Paul for him to be worth it. So I think he can get somewhere around there. But obviously he had that little 3-game stretch where he didn't get over 45. So something to think about with him. Billy Kickow, I think we're going to leave him out this week just for the fact that he doesn't have his wingmans with him. And I just think he won't score as well in this kind of game. Lukey Thompson's a bit too inconsistent. Maxi King's the guy you want in your squad. Playing on the edge, should be getting big minutes again this week. 58.8 last week. I think we can get anywhere over 40 for him at a minimum, and he'll be perfect for everyone's squad. some interesting ones down here below. So I think, yeah, all the value is going to be down here, guys. We got Matt Eisenhuth, that when he plays in the middle, he's obviously scoring really well off the bench. So when he's going to get bigger minutes through the middle there for Isaiah Yo's role, and a 12,800, these scores are pretty good at that price point, to be honest, in the high 30s. So if we can get anywhere in the mid 40s, he's going to be great. And then if we go a little bit lighter, Sorensen should get some decent minutes as well off the bench. He's been doing really well, for example. And then the one guy to think about is going to be Raymond Fatala-Mariner, who gets to start this week. So anything above 50 minutes, I think he's going to be worth it at the 9,000 clip, whether you put him in the flex, the forwards. There's obviously a few options. This is where I kind of think that you can go Raymond, and you can go for either Sorensen, Eisenhuth, and King. So spend pretty cheap in the forwards and then be able to go expensive in the halves hooker, and potentially cheap as well in the outside back. So I think I'm going to have a crack at this one and see what happens there. I wish you all the best of luck, guys. Jump in and hit that sign up button, or the play button there, and we'll have plenty of fun. I hope you have a great Friday night, and good luck with your teams, guys. See you later.